what about the song themes?
The what? The themes of the songs? Well, Larry, you're probably best to talk about this one in a way.
Well, I mean, I don't know what the themes were on the first album, but certainly in this new album, I think most of the songs are concerned with like how we were feeling at the time. The future of the band was a little uncertain with the demise of the band's first record label. So I think I'd say the songs were concerned with us trying to make our way in the world at that point in time. Yeah, so there's, you know, the breaking down of relationships and looking at the way the world was going right now with the economic situation and such like. So yeah, I think that's pretty. I think that's.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think it's a song about. It's an album about, you know, kind of personal relationships in the foreground, and then in the background, you know, the world as it is, and kind of, you know, just, you know, four young guys' thoughts and perceptions. I think it's a real kind of honest, heartfelt record lyrically. I think, again, you know, in comparison to the first one, I think we come on leaps and bounds, and I think the lyrics are much better on this album, and we've included on the inlay card of the physical release this time we have all the lyrics so people can read them, and I hope people do and kind of look into it. And it's, you know, and I think the themes and the things that we discuss on the album, I think a lot of people can maybe relate to at the moment. There's one song in particular, a song called Hard for Young Lovers, which I think really kind of sums up what the whole album is about. And it's really just a story about this guy and his partner, you know, and he's, you know, fighting for some kind of ideal. Maybe it's, you know, on the picket lines, you know, kind of, you know, on a strike, you know, a union strike, or maybe it's someone in a band, you know, kind of, you know, they want to be in a band, this is what they're doing, but they're not making much money, and, you know, their partner's saying, well, I can't really stick around, and it's kind of about, and I kind of think that kind of sums up what the album's about, and I think a lot of people maybe can relate to these things and kind of get something from it. So.
And it seems there's a new coming back of the 80s sounds, like new wave, synth pop, and more all over the world, I think. And why, in your opinion, there's this?
I think it's because it was something. Pardon? A mirror society a little bit. You know, perhaps we're in sort of similar times. You know, society, politically, you know, socially. But also, I kind of think music kind of went 60s, 70s, and then 80s, and then for some reason in the 90s, it kind of, we dropped the baton, and lots of bands seemed to start going back to the sort of 60s and 70s, and it was very kind of, you know, rock. And I kind of feel, yeah, I think bands are kind of like, well, wait a minute, there was lots of really interesting things going on in the 80s. And I don't think any of the bands, I certainly don't, I can understand why people would say we sound 80s, but I don't think I'm not saying we're better, but we're a step forward. We've kind of picked up the baton of the 80s groups, you know, where they kind of left off, and we're kind of going, there's a lot more still to do with these kind of sounds, and we've kind of taken that baton and we're kind of moving forward, doing new things and doing fresh things, and kind of, you know, moving forward with music rather than kind of going backwards. Although you are suggesting we're going backwards, I kind of think it's actually at long last a movement forward now to kind of, you know, being, you know, for a long time 90s bands, you weren't allowed to dance, and it wasn't allowed to be a pop song, and there was all these rules, and I think, why bother confining yourself to, you know, these silly little things? Let's continue from what they left off. They were doing, there's lots of exciting things being done and still to do.
And your past song, Maybe Someday, sometimes, has been for months a great radio hit. What's the secret of composing a great radio hit?
What's the secret behind creating a great radio hit? I don't know. If I knew that. If I knew the answer to that, they would all be radio hits. Although I don't know. I think there are certain things you can do to kind of. I think as I've been writing songs for a very long time, and there are certain rules that you start to learn, and there's certain things you know that you can do. And I think I reckon if one day if I don't make enough money out of this band, I'll certainly sit down, make up a new name for myself, and sit down and write some pop tunes. I think there are rules to how to do it, but I don't really think it's as simple as that. I don't know. I think we're just inspired. We were inspired one day, and it just came, and it was just
natural. And how do you think about touring all around the world? Do you prefer when you are on tour or when you are composing, for example, or recording sessions?
I think you need both. Like, you maybe go to the studio like for a couple of months, and that's really good. And then you get bored of that, so you think, oh no, I really need to get out on the road. But now we've been out on the road like for a while, and you start to think, oh, it'd be great if we could go into the studio and record another album. So it's quite good if you kind of do it in cycles, you know. Would you agree with that, Scott?
Yeah, you would. I just want to finish off something I said from a question earlier on. That thing about like writing tunes, you shouldn't always try. I think the thing is you shouldn't always try and write a pop song. I think being in a band is. I think that's what I was really trying to say. There is like being in a band, we are trying. There's an art side to it as well, and we kind of try. Not that we're trying to be obtuse and weird and write things no one wants to hear, but I'm not really interested in writing radio hits.
No, but
one after the other.
You express yourself, but then within that expression, you know, there are certain things that you know you have to do in order to for it to be listenable to people. You know, there's like, you know, I'd like to make all these weird guitar noises, but I know that ultimately it's got to be within the confines of verses and choruses and
people
but
listen to
there's a discipline. There's a discipline to anything. Do you know what I mean? Like even, you know, the great painters were all very expressive, but they all had to learn how to draw and, you know, learn how to write songs is like the kind of technical skill that we use to express ourselves with. You know, we don't just turn our amps and make weird noises. You know, that would be expressing.
That'd be a good third.
That would be expressing ourselves, but you know, there'd be no discipline to it. So the form of the song is the discipline. If you, I mean, that's equivalent to us learning how to draw and paint, or us, you know, learning how to use grammar if we were writers. Or
Anyway, sorry, we're terrible band for going off on little tangents. We like start talking to each other. Sorry.
Yes, no matter. And what's the role of your look for music? What do you think about look, dressing, clothes? Yes.
I personally think it doesn't matter really at all. But I do think.
But sometimes makes this the fortune of some bands.
It can. I think if your fortune's been made by what you wear, then you're obviously not a very good band. But I do think it's. I do think you kind of. I quite enjoy like choosing clothes and dressing up and stuff. I don't look particularly good today, but I do think in some respects when, you know, as a consumer or as a music fan, you know, there's lots of things that make you think what a band is like. You know, it's the artwork on the cover or the video they've seen, or like you say, the clothes that the band wear will make, you know, if we all started wearing makeup and like putting our hair up, you know, we're kind of appealing to a completely different audience. And I think you should match the clothes you wear to the kind of style of music you wear. So we kind of, I think, what do you think? I don't know, it's hard to say. I think it is some.
I think we should go crazy and start wearing makeup and putting our hair up.
You think we should start wearing makeup and putting our hair up?
Starting at tonight's gig.
Alright then, there's an exclusive. The cinematics are changing their style. I think it is kind of important, I think. But I don't know how, if you know what I mean. It's just something that kind of bands naturally kind of do. I think you have to make, if you're in a band, I think one thing is if you're in a band, you've got to make sure that you look like you're in a band, you know what I mean? And we're forever chastising our drummer. He's like, what are you doing? What are you wearing, Ross? It's terrible. If he ever sees this, he's going to be really annoyed. But I think it is important. But we try not to think about it too much. I hope we're not standing in front of the mirror for too long.
No, you've got to professional respect, you know. You have to, like, I hate it when you walk into a venue to see a band and you can't tell which who's in the band and who's in the audience, you know. I think, you know, when we walk into a place or when we're walking around town, it's like, what was it that guy said to us in Rome? We're in Rome and one of these kind of fake Roman centurions goes, oh Jesus, the Beatles are back. Because, you know, we do look like a band, you know. I think it's having enough respect for your audience to realise that they're paying to come and see you, so you should make an effort.
Best friends. Yeah.